Hello, so my name's Andy McIntosh. I work for the Canterbury Archaeological Trust. I'll be directing this year's dig at East Weir Bay in Folkestone. It's a beautiful spot for an excavation. You can see the sea channel just behind us here. Clear days you can see France. So what we've got in front of us here is primarily an Iron Age excavation with some Roman ditches cut across the top. And you may be drawn to the large slabs of green sand that you can see in the foreground behind us, and there are also quern stones. Now, quern stones were produced here in the Iron Age, and the particular type we have are rotary querns, so two stones that work against one another for grinding grain to make flour for bread. And we found so many here that we think they must be manufactured here. That's the only explanation. So the green sand is sourced locally on the foreshore. It's roughed out there into circular blocks into the approximate shape, brought up here on the cliff top for finishing. And we know that because we found evidence for the chippings where they've worked it, and also dust. Now, what we're finding on site tends to be the ones that have gone wrong in manufacture at the last moment. So perhaps when they're drilling a hole through for a handle or the hopper, the stone is split, and then they're left in piles. Sometimes they're reutilised as well. We see them in the bottom of things like post pads. Now, we do have earlier archaeology here as well. We are finding flint flakes that could date as early as Mesolithic period, but primarily the archaeological features tend to be late Iron Age into the early Roman period. And talking of the Romans, we do have Roman ditches. There's one just behind us at the top and one down the bottom of the slope, forming a grid pattern overlying the Iron Age activity. These Roman ditches tend to be 1st century. We're finding pottery imports from across the sea from France, what was Gaul. So we know that there was trade activity between here and overseas. Hello. Okay, so we've talked about the Iron Age. Now we're looking at the Roman villa remains here. What we're looking at is the back of the northeast wing of the winged corridor villa. Now, there are two phases to the villa. The first phase was built in the end of the 1st century, the second phase towards the end of the 2nd century. What we're looking at here is the back corner of the villa building attached to that northeast wing, so the northwest corner, and the first 2 or 3 rooms have already been looked at in 2010, now in the brambles. That had an apsidal end to the first phase villa, and what we're exploring now is the 3 rooms coming back to the back corridor of the villa. And we're beginning to take apart, so we've removed the fly ash that was backfilled in 1957, and we're now getting onto the archaeological layers proper. So we're beginning to identify things like chalk floors that are towards the back. You might just be able to see in the background, and those could actually be, we're not solid on the date yet, but they may even be between the 2 villa phases. So some really intriguing information starting to come out. We're identifying a couple of post holes as well, so features are beginning to emerge. So this is activity pre-Roman times, a lot of it.